we'll take you now to some receivers the Cowboys could trade for. We'll have some fun here with the trade talk, with the deadline rapidly approaching, and with Earl Thomas hurt, I think receiver makes the most sense for the Cowboys if they want to do it, to go find an upgraded receiver. So their depth chart right now, Beasley and Hearns and Gallup. Tavon Austin is now banged up, so we'll drop him down. Deonte Thompson also kind of banged up a little bit. Bryce Butler isn't even playing, partially because, as I tried to tell you guys before, he's not that good. And also, he's banged up too. And I think the bigger reason why I'd rather play him over Deonte Thompson, because cut Thompson get a fourth round pick, but we'll get back to that later on in the show. Either way, I think we can all agree, beyond Cole Beasley, these receivers have not been good enough. Gallup has shown some promise. He's still young, still a long-term part, but you need somebody else out there. And there are several guys I think could make some sense and have been linked in other trade rumors out there. Before we get to my top 5 guys, though, I want to tell you today's show is brought to you by Tavour. I know you guys like beer, so you're going to love Tavour. Sign up is free at Tavour.com. They'll get you alerts for all their new craft beers from all over the country. Ship them to your house. Use promo code ChatSports, by the way, when you sign up. $10 off your first purchase at Tavour.com. All right, top 5 guys now, even though I don't know if they all make complete sense, and I'll explain why. First up, as I've seen several times in the comment section on both Facebook and YouTube here, Demaryius Thomas. There's been a little bit of buzz about a Demaryius Thomas trade for one big reason, his contract. Denver doesn't want to pay him $14 million a year next season. But then again, why would the Cowboys? I think that makes a trade very, very difficult. So even though I like the talent of Demaryius Thomas, and I like what he brings in and offers you for whatever you need it to bring, I don't know if it makes the most sense for the Cowboys to go out and make a big deal for Thomas, because it's the $14 million cap hit. If you're the Cowboys, why would you want to try and make a big splash move when you don't necessarily need to do it? So here's my proposed trade, by the way. Demaryius Thomas for a 5th-round pick. Look, I don't think Denver would get much because of the contract, but I'm willing to give a 5th for one big reason here. All right? Yes, you pay DT a lot of money. I assume in any of these trades, you're also cutting Deonte Thompson, because when you do that, the Cowboys should get a 4th-round pick via the compensatory draft process. At that point, you're basically getting a 4th, or you're getting a 4th, losing a 5th, but you're also getting Demaryius Thomas. That's a trade worth doing, I think, but the money makes it difficult, and I think that's why you might not actually see DT get dealt at all this year at the trade deadline. All right, I'll keep it going here. Number 4, Pierre Garcon. The salary actually works out pretty well. He's only making about $6 million this year and next. That's pretty cheap for a solid receiver. The issue is, I don't know if Garcon is the type of guy that the Cowboys need right now. He's a little bit more of a possession receiver. I would like a little bit more playmaking. I like Garcon. He's a good number 2 receiver, which the Cowboys do need right now. He can play slot and outside, but he doesn't bring you that game-breaking type ability that I think the Cowboys need right now at the wide receiver spot. If you're trying to make a trade, you go big, all right? You don't bother trying to go for the minimal trade. So here is what I have for you guys. Pierre for a 5th-round pick. I think DT is a more talented player than Pierre, but the contract ends up balancing things out. So, and again, this is what I would give up. You guys can argue a higher pick if you want. I value draft picks a lot. Some would say too much so, but that's just me, and that's also how the NFL tends to operate as well. So let me know who says no to that trade in the comment section. All right, number 3, Golden Tate. I love what Tate brings to a team. He can play outside or slot and is great at both. For the Lions' perspective, he's in the last year of his deal, and the way their contract situation works out, they're going to spend a lot of money next year in the offseason. If they let Tate walk, they might not get a comp pick back for him. So if Detroit stumbles down the stretch before the trade deadline and they want to sell at the deadline, Tate could be available. So I would be willing to offer the Detroit Lions a 3rd-round pick for Tate. It might be a little pricey, but I think Tate is actually the exact type of receiver Dak Prescott needs. He's the guy that gets open on his own. He creates separation. I know some of you guys are upset about Allen Hurns. Tate's the opposite of that. Tate's a great route runner. Yes, he's a little bit older than you would like, but I think he'd be a perfect fit for Dak Prescott. Same as like an Emmanuel Sanders, who I don't think is on the trade block at all right now in the NFL. So I give him a 3rd. It's a little pricey. I assume you extend him as well, but the Lions might not want to move him at all. All right, number 2, a guy I do think is available, more so than the first 3 guys we discussed, DeVante Parker. Some conflicting reports on if the Dolphins are actually trying to move Parker. Here's the thing, though. He's not very good. I loved him coming out. I was wrong. He has been a bust in the NFL. He can't stay healthy. He has drop issues. He's barely played this year. Even though he's a first-round pick with his big contract coming up next year, I don't think he's worth that much. The most I would offer for DeVante Parker, and I would assume the Dolphins say no because of the upside that he still has, is a conditional 7th-round pick. Bump it all the way up to a 5th if he plays really well and makes some big plays. I just don't think Parker is a worthwhile investment right now because he hasn't done much of anything. So I got Parker as only worth, a conditional pick, a conditional day 3 pick. I just don't trust him enough to make plays and be a true impact guy for the Dallas Cowboys. At least that's where I sit right now. Now, if you disagree with me, if you think I'm wrong all the time, go prove it. I'm hosting a free weekly NFL Pick'em game, $25 to whomever comes in first place each week, by the way. Sign up is free. Just DM me on Twitter at WhatGoingDowney if you guys want the link. It's also my pinned comment right now on my Twitter. Look, there's no downside. Sign up is free. If you come in first, if you think you know football, you get $25. That's a win-win right there. All right, back to number 1 then, and this one shouldn't be much of a surprise. We mentioned it at the very top of the show in rumors. Amari Cooper checks in at number 1. Now, the Raiders want a first-round pick for Amari Cooper. They are not going to get that. Amari Cooper is not worth a first-round pick right now. All right? I know that some of you guys want Cooper, and I get it. That's why he's number 1 on my list, okay? But I do want to make note here, he has drop issues. We all ripped on Dez Bryant for being unable to catch a pass at times. That's Amari Cooper, who's also had higher drop rates in the past than Dez Bryant did. That's a big red flag for me. And I've heard people say, oh, the Raiders don't know how to use Amari Cooper. That's a big red flag, too, because it's not like Amari Cooper is like a undersized receiver or he's a big guy that's only good in the red zone. He is a properly sized receiver who's supposed to be a number 1 guy. It's not about using him right, I don't think. Now, with that said, I would trade a 3rd-round pick for Amari Cooper. You might be able to talk me into a 2nd-rounder, but I don't like that idea. Because even with Amari Cooper, I'm really not convinced that this Cowboys team is a true playoff team. And if that's the case, I don't want to trade a top 50 pick for Amari Cooper. I'd rather go invest in free agency or just, say, we need the picks. Picks are valuable in the NFL. I like Cooper. I think the upside is there for him to bounce back, but I don't want to invest a 2nd-round pick in Cooper. Maybe you can talk me into it if you guarantee me a playoff spot, but I would much rather try and ship them a 3rd because Oakland, you're not getting a 1st-round pick for Cooper. All right, to recap, folks, 5 wide receivers the Cowboys could trade for: Amari Cooper, DeVante Parker, Golden Tate, Pierre Garcon, and Demaryius Thomas. Let me know which one of those guys you want in the comments section. And while you're there, leave me some mailbag questions. We'll come back later on in the week with my next Cowboys mailbag. So hit me up with any questions you guys have, and we'll see you tomorrow for our next Cowboys Report.